They did it again. The humans violated the Accord. The voice of Grand Arbiter Zilrak sliced through the tension in the Galactic Council chamber, reverberating against the crystalline walls. 1,000 eyes, spanning the spectrum of sentience, turned to the Earth delegation. Silence hung heavy, punctuated only by the faint hum of the artificial atmosphere. The accusation was no surprise. Humanity's actions in the past decade had ignited more disputes than any species since the Accord's inception, but this time the stakes were higher. The collapse of the Interstellar Trade Compact loomed on the horizon, a scenario none of the Council members could afford. Were humans truly reckless aggressors, or did they harbor intentions far more calculated than they appeared? What drove them to defy the norms that had governed galactic diplomacy for centuries? The answers to these questions, however unsettling, would shape the fate of the galaxy. "Honorable delegates," began Ambassador Raelyn Quinn of Earth, rising with a calm that belied the storm brewing around her. Her measured tone clashed with the undercurrent of unease in the room. "We stand accused of hostility, but I urge you to question the premise itself. What defines hostility? Misunderstanding breeds fear, and fear, as you all know, fuels conflict." The Xenathian representative, a towering figure of iridescent chitin, slammed their appendage onto the table. "Misunderstanding?" Their voice clicked and hissed. "Your fleet's maneuvers in the Rimwood Zone resulted in the destruction of 3 trade convoys." Quinn's lips tightened. "And yet, no proof links those incidents directly to Earth. Would you condemn an entire species without evidence?" Across the chamber, murmurs of discontent spread like wildfire. Krovek, a delegate of the Vornan Alliance, leaned forward, his 3 eyes gleaming. "Intentional or not, Earth's actions destabilize the Accord. If this behavior continues, we must consider sanctions or worse." Ambassador Raelyn Quinn held her ground, though she could feel the weight of the chamber's collective judgment pressing down on her. The Xenathian representative's accusation lingered in the air, like a weapon drawn but not yet used. "The destruction of the trade convoys," Quinn began, her voice steady, "is a tragedy, but attributing it to Earth without substantial evidence is reckless. Our fleets were in the Rimwood Zone for exploratory purposes, under strict compliance with the Accord." She gestured toward the holographic display that now shimmered above her. "The trajectory logs of our ships, verified by third-party sensors, show no deviation into restricted sectors." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Xenathian clicked their mandibles in frustration, but remained silent for now. Across the table, Krovek of the Vornan Alliance tapped his elongated fingers together, his expression unreadable. "Suppose," he said, his voice low and deliberate, "Earth's actions are not overtly hostile. Even so, your species' unpredictability has disrupted the balance we've worked for centuries to maintain. How do you explain the incidents on Drevon the 4 or the Tau Ceti mining corridor?" Quinn hesitated. She had anticipated these examples. The Drevon 4 dispute involved a civilian research team unknowingly infringing on sacred ground. Once informed, they retreated immediately and issued formal apologies. "And Tau Ceti?" Krovek pressed. Quinn's expression tightened. "An unauthorized repair operation by independent contractors. Earth's government condemned their actions and cooperated in investigating the matter. Missteps, yes, but not acts of hostility." From the upper tier, Grand Arbiter Zilrak observed in silence before raising a crystalline appendage. The murmurs ceased. "The question remains," Zilrak intoned, their voice resonating, "whether humanity's nature is compatible with the Accord. This council must determine whether Earth can be trusted to uphold our collective stability or if sanctions are necessary." Suspense gripped the room as Quinn locked eyes with Zilrak. "Then let this council ask itself," she said, her voice unwavering. how stability is served by alienating a species eager to cooperate, yet condemned for being misunderstood. The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling like a storm on the horizon. Before we dive deeper into the high-stakes debate at the Galactic Assembly, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think humanity deserves a second chance? Or are their actions too unpredictable for the galaxy to trust? Share your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to follow the twists and turns of this intergalactic showdown. Your support keeps our universe expanding. The silence in the chamber was palpable, broken only by the faint hum of the holographic display flickering above the council floor. Grand Arbiter Silrak leaned forward, their crystalline frame refracting the chamber's light into 1,000 shifting hues. "Ambassador Quinn," Silrak began, their tone cold, "your defense hinges on misinterpretation, yet the galaxy has no room for such volatility." Before Quinn could respond, the representative of the Chivar Collective, a willowy figure, draped in bioluminescent veils, interjected. "If we are to deliberate sanctions," their melodic voice echoed, "then we must consider Earth's strategic significance. Humanity's sphere includes key hyperspace routes. Isolation may destabilize trade across 3 sectors. Krovek of the Vornan Alliance snarled, his patience waning. "And what of their unpredictability? The Accord's foundation is mutual trust. Humanity's erratic behavior undermines that trust." Quinn seized the moment. "Erratic or adaptable? What you call unpredictability is our ability to act decisively in unforeseen circumstances, a trait that has proven valuable in every alliance we've forged. Are we perfect? No, but neither is any species represented here." The murmurs resumed, some nodding in agreement while others exchanged skeptical glances. Quinn pressed on, her voice rising with determination. "Humanity has made mistakes. Yes, but we've also contributed to the Accord. It was Earth's engineers who stabilized the hypernova cascade in the Zenathian cluster, preventing the annihilation of 2 star systems. It was Earth's medics who developed the universal pathogen neutralizer now used across 7 species. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Silrak's multifaceted visage. "Good deeds do not erase reckless acts, Ambassador." "And alienating Earth," Quinn countered, "will not erase the damage caused by division. Sanctions will fracture this. O Council, forcing us into isolation when unity is our greatest strength." Silrak's crystalline body pulsed, a sign of deliberation. "This council will reconvene in 3 rotations to cast its decision." As the assembly adjourned, Quinn exhaled slowly. The storm was far from over, and humanity's fate rested on fragile diplomacy where every word mattered. The 3 rotations passed in a haze of tense negotiations and private deliberations. When the council reconvened, the chamber was charged with a sense of finality. Delegates whispered among themselves, their conversations barely concealed. Beneath the low hum of the council systems, Ambassador Raelyn Quinn stood at the center, her gaze steady but her pulse racing. Grand Arbiter Silrak rose, their crystalline appendages casting shimmering light patterns across the room. "The time has come for this council to determine humanity's place within the Accord. Let the representatives present their positions." The first to speak was Krovek of the Vornan Alliance. His voice was sharp, deliberate. "The evidence before us is clear. Humanity's actions, whether intentional or not, have destabilized crucial sectors of the Accord. They must be sanctioned, if not outright removed, to ensure galactic stability." A murmur of agreement rippled through a section of the chamber. Krovek continued, "Their unpredictability is not adaptability. It is chaos. And chaos has no place here." Quinn clenched her fists but held her tongue. She knew her time to respond would come. The Chivar delegate rose next, their veils glowing faintly. While I share my colleagues' concerns, they said, their tone softer, Earth's contributions cannot be ignored. Humanity has shown ingenuity and courage in times of crisis. To expel them would weaken the Accord, not strengthen it. Voices rose in debate as the room divided further. A representative from the Arboreal Consortium, whose species communicated in harmonic tones, sang out their support for Earth, citing the need for diversity and problem-solving approaches. Finally, Zilrak raised a hand for silence. The decision must be made. Delegates, cast your votes. Quinn's breath caught as the room darkened, each representative placing their decision into the shimmering voting matrix. The result materialized above them, numbers and colors illuminating the chamber. Humanity, Zilrak announced, their voice resonant, will remain within the Accord under probationary terms. Further incidents will result in immediate sanctions. Relief swept through Quinn, but it was short-lived. The terms of probation would be severe, and the path forward uncertain. Humanity's future was still on the edge of a blade, balanced between cooperation and catastrophe. The probationary terms imposed on Earth were severe, as expected. A contingent of Galactic Accord observers was dispatched to monitor human activity across key sectors. Trade routes were restricted. Military fleets were placed under constant surveillance, and Earth's ambassadors were ordered to provide weekly reports detailing compliance. For the first time in centuries, humanity found itself under the scrutinizing gaze of the galaxy. Ambassador Raelyn Quinn returned to her quarters aboard the Accord flagship, a sprawling station orbiting the neutral star of Zevos Prime. Exhaustion weighed heavily on her, but she had little time to rest. A report from the Earth delegation awaited her, encrypted and flagged as urgent. Ambassador, began the holographic recording of Commander Elias Monroe, her counterpart on Earth. His tone was grave. We've identified an anomaly. A series of coordinated attacks along the outer rim bear all the hallmarks of human technology, but they aren't ours. Quinn's blood ran cold. She replayed the message twice to ensure she hadn't misheard. Rogue factions were a known risk in interstellar politics, but this timing was no coincidence. Whoever was behind the attack sought to exploit Earth's precarious position within the Accord. She summoned her advisors, their faces appearing one by one in the station's secure conference room. Among them was Krenai Zorath, the Xenathian, observer assigned to Earth's delegation. His insectoid features were unreadable as he clicked out a greeting. This evidence, Quinn began, projecting the data onto the room's holographic display, suggests a coordinated effort to implicate Earth in acts of aggression. If we cannot prove our innocence, sanctions will be the least of our concerns. Krenai tilted his head. You suggest a conspiracy. I suggest, Quinn replied, her voice firm, that someone in this galaxy benefits from humanity's downfall, and I intend to find out who. As the room fell silent, a message pinged. On Quinn's console, coordinates from an anonymous source. The sender's identity was hidden, but the message was clear. Start here. The stakes had risen, and humanity's survival now hinged on uncovering a hidden enemy before it was too late. The coordinates led to a barren moon on the edge of the outer rim, orbiting a gas giant bathed in perpetual storms. As Ambassador Quinn descended in a discreet diplomatic shuttle, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Her Xenathian observer, Krenai Zorath, accompanied her, his presence both a reassurance and a reminder of the Accord's distrust. The landing site was unremarkable, a rocky plateau under a pale, fractured sky. Yet, waiting for them at the edge of the shuttle's floodlights was a cloaked figure, their form concealed beneath layers of shadow. Ambassador Quinn, the figure said, their voice modulated to mask their identity. You've come, as expected. Who are you? Quinn demanded, stepping forward, her tone as firm as the ground beneath her feet. "And why send this message anonymously?" The figure hesitated, then reached up to lower their hood. Beneath it was a face Quinn didn't recognize, but the markings on their skin identified them immediately. A Myalerian, a species known for their neutrality and strict adherence to logic. For one of them to break protocol and reach out was unprecedented. "My name is Larith," they said. "I represent a faction within the Myalerian High Circle. What I am about to tell you violates every law of our council, but the truth must be known. Humanity is being framed by a coalition of rogue elements within the Accord." Krenai clicked his mandibles. "This is a bold claim. Why would anyone conspire against Earth?" "Stability," Larith replied, their voice heavy with implication. "Human adaptability threatens the established balance of power. Some believe your people cannot be controlled, and chaos will follow if humanity is allowed to flourish." Quinn narrowed her eyes. "And who leads this coalition?" Larith glanced skyward as if fearing unseen eyes. "Names will come later. For now I can offer proof. A data cache hidden within the remains of a crashed freighter in the Zynathian cluster. Retrieve it, and you'll have your answers." The Myalerians stepped back into the shadows, their final words lingering like a specter. "But be warned, the ones behind this will do everything to ensure you never return with it alive." Quinn turned to Krenai, her resolve hardening. "We need that data." The stakes were no longer just humanity's reputation. They were its survival. The shuttle plunged into the asteroid field, its hull groaning under the strain. Quinn gripped her seat as the ship veered sharply to avoid a jagged rock. At the controls, Krenai Zorath maneuvered with precision, his compound eyes darting between the displays. "Interference," he hissed, mandibles twitching. "This is no accident." Suddenly the console erupted in static, followed by a cold, mechanical voice. "Retreat or be destroyed." 3 interceptors emerged from the shadows, plasma bolts streaking past the shuttle. Quinn's heart pounded as the ship shook violently. "Defensive measures now." Krenai deployed a cloud of chaff, buying precious seconds. "They're privateers," he growled. "No official markings." "They don't need to be official to kill us," Quinn snapped. "Can you get us through the field?" "It's dangerous," Krenai warned. "Do it!" Krenai pushed the shuttle into a tight spiral, weaving through the debris as the interceptors gave chase. Plasma fire struck dangerously close, sending tremors through the cabin. Then, through the chaos, Quinn spotted it, the wrecked freighter embedded in a jagged asteroid. "There!" she shouted. The shuttle dove toward the crash site, skimming the asteroid's surface. At the last moment, Krenai executed a sharp maneuver, ducking them into the shadow of the wreck. The interceptors overshot, momentarily losing sight. The shuttle docked in the freighter's exposed hull. As the airlock hissed open, Quinn grabbed her weapon, stepping into the dark, oppressive interior. The corridors were silent, save for the drip of coolant. "This place is a tomb," Krenai muttered, his claws flexing. Quinn scanned the shadows, her light catching glimpses of scorched walls and shattered equipment. Then a faint noise, a metallic clang, echoed from deeper. Within, Krenai raised his weapon. "We're not alone." Quinn's voice dropped to a whisper. "Stay close. We finish this or we don't leave at all." The final confrontation was near, every step brimming with peril and suspense. The corridors of the wrecked freighter seemed to close in as Quinn and Krenai pressed forward, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the oppressive silence. Every shadow felt alive, every noise a potential threat. The data cache was close. Quinn could feel it. A sudden movement caught her eye. "There!" she hissed. From the darkness, a figure lunged, its sleek armor glinting in the faint light. of her torch. Krenai reacted instantly, firing his weapon. The blast illuminated the corridor, revealing 3 more assailants advancing with precision. "Ambush!" Krenai roared. Quinn ducked behind a jagged wall, her heart pounding. Plasma bolts ricocheted off the metal, sparking showers of light. These attackers weren't mere privateers. Their movements were too coordinated, their weapons too advanced. This was a calculated operation. "Krenai!" Quinn shouted over the chaos. "Keep them busy, I'm going for the cache." The Zenathian nodded, his mandibles clicking as he charged into the fray, claws slashing through the dimly lit corridor. Quinn sprinted down the opposite path, her light flickering, over scorched walls and shattered consoles. Finally, she found it, the central control hub. The data cache sat encased in a reinforced pod, its blinking lights a beacon of hope. She pulled out her decryptor, but as the cache opened, an alarm blared. "Quinn!" Krenai's voice echoed through her comms. "Reinforcements inbound." Quinn didn't hesitate. She downloaded the cache's contents onto her device, her fingers moving with practiced speed. Just as the transfer completed, the doorway behind her exploded inward. A towering figure stepped through, their armor adorned with the insignia of a faction Quinn didn't recognize. "You've gone far enough," they growled, raising a weapon. Quinn's pulse raced, but she stood firm. "If you think you can stop humanity, you're wrong." Krenai burst in, slamming into the attacker and buying Quinn precious seconds. "Go!" he shouted. Quinn sprinted toward the shuttle, the data clutched tightly in her hands. As the engines roared to life and the ship broke free of the wreckage, she looked back, vowing to expose the conspiracy and reclaim humanity's place in the galaxy. The fight wasn't over, but humanity's survival had just begun. Humanity's survival hangs by a thread, the galaxy teetering on the edge of chaos. Will Quinn's discovery be enough to expose the conspiracy and save Earth's place in the Accord? Or is this just the beginning of a larger battle for the future of the stars? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. And remember, in a galaxy this vast, the smallest spark can ignite the brightest flame. Because sometimes survival isn't about strength, it's about defying the impossible.